Hello, I'm Joseph. This is the iPad 2 in 2024. Now, if you're looking to buy this, here's what I'll say. 20 bucks to get you access to a bunch of free books isn't half bad. I think it's a pretty good deal. I think using this to still read books is still a phenomenal purchase. And so let me just show you how that works real quick. If you go to the iBooks app, you go to Featured, and once it loads, at the very bottom of Featured, there is a like a little button that says Free Books. So we're going to tap on Free Books. Then there is a rather large library of just, categorized books, whether it be fantasy or whatever else. They also have like free audio stuff as well, like The Great Gatsby and stuff like that. It's really good to have as like a free experience. And something I highly do recommend for, again, only 20 bucks. The battery life on these are still pretty good. You can get battery replacements fairly cheap, but it is a lot harder to replace the battery in some of these. Um, that's it. That's the only thing I would recommend, because everything else I'm about to say is gonna say it's gonna be like deterring and not worth it for some capacity. So let me first talk about the browser, because this is going to be the most obvious thing. This browser is still somewhat usable, but is incredibly slow. And again, this has a lot to do with iOS 9. It is slow, but you can use it to at least watch YouTube videos and some online content. I don't know if you can log into your Netflix account, but I know YouTube works, Wikipedia works. It's just really, really slow, like it's loading it now, to load up youtube.com. And to go to a video and start playing, it takes a while. It's just a really slow experience. On top of that, another critical feature that deter a lot of people is you cannot log into your Google account anymore on this older browser. It'll give you like a 400 error. There's no way around it. It kind of sucks, but that is what it is. There is one little saving grace, in that there is a cloud-based browser called Puffin. That's this here. So that's the Puffin app. And it is a cloud-based in that it relays stuff to their cloud system. And it technically works a lot faster than the built-in Safari. So here's the YouTube app. It's loading almost not instantly, but a hell of a lot faster. You can go to these videos a lot quicker. They will start playing. I don't want to bother listening to ads. But again, you can't log into your Google account. Same exact issue. You can get a little bit further, like you'll enter in your password, but then it won't let you go beyond that. So it's a good option, and you can just go directly to the App Store, search for Puffin, and it will work. I'm going to talk about the App Store in a little bit. Now, if you really do need to log into your Google account, the only app I have found that works, that unfortunately is no longer listed in the App Store, so you would have to have previously already downloaded this, is Opera Mini. Maybe they were violating something, that Apple finally took their app down or something, but you have to find it via your purchase section. If you do not have it there, there is no way to get it, and there's no way to log into your Google account that way. So if I get something to load here, so Opera Mini. So if I don't know, like I tried searching for this, and it definitely is not there. Gonna load anything. Okay, so you can use this. It's a cloud-based browser too. It's just as slow as the Safari browser, but it actually let you log into your Google account. You can check your Gmail. You can log into your YouTube stuff and get all your stuff that way. It has much newer browser tech in it, which is good. It's just unfortunately, I guess because it's not using the native iOS stuff, that they had to take it down or something like that. Anyways, I'm not going to bother showing you that too much. It'll load up there. So that's the browser experience. That's how you could work around it. Unfortunately, unless you had Opera Mini before, there's no chance you're going to get it now. And I would say that's a critical part to at least preserving this iPad, is to still be able to use the browser. And again, it's somewhat usable, but not being able to log into a lot of stuff really sucks. It still works for basic searching and stuff like that, checking some news sites. That's it. Now, let's talk about the app situation. So here I have a little plethora of apps. Notability is a good note-taking app. There's a ton. Like the thing that you have to realize is that in this year, when this last iOS version was released, it completely wipes the pants off like a regular Kindle Fire. Any apps that are on the App Store for the Kindle Fire, there's garbage compared to what is still compatible with the iPad 2. But the unfortunate part is the majority of the time you go to download an app from the App Store, you're going to get a bunch of errors saying you can't download it. So I'm going to go back to the feature section. And all the apps listed here, if you try to download them, it's going to give you an error. So, okay, I do got to go into it. So let's go to Git, install, and you're going to get this, not compatible. And the reason why is any app that even tried to still support this iPad, last year, April 2023, Apple mandated that any new apps drop iOS 9 and 10 support. That there's no way that you can continue to provide 32-bit support on these older iPads. So any app that's been updated in the last year, basically, there's zero chance for you to download it directly from the App Store in this method of just going and searching for it and anything else. Puffin was that example that I had typed in that still lets you download directly from the App Store here because it was last updated in 2021. So when you go to these apps, you can actually see when they were last updated. So if you scroll here, you can actually February of 2023. So it just skimmed over the last time it could possibly update before that deadline. And because it still supported iOS 9 at that time, then you kind of get the idea. So you can look at the compatibility. That'll give you another option there. So you can see it requires iOS 8 or later. And that's how you know you can actually download that app. So when you go into these things like Firefox, you go to the last update date, which is February of 2024. It means that it's going to drop all that support. So it actually even requires iOS 15. So that's how you can kind of get an idea. Like you can literally tap Git and all these things anyways. And if there was a version, or if there is a current version that does support it, that may support it. But all these browsers are the same browsers already built in. They're just wrappers around all this stuff. So yeah, kind of get the idea. So that's the unfortunate part of all this. And the only thing I can say is in order to get apps onto your device, you need to go to your purchase section. And then you run into that catch-22. What if you've never downloaded the app before? Well, then unless you have a secondary iOS device that is newer, you're most likely out of luck. And then there's edge cases. So let's say like Procreate. Procreate works on this iPad. But if I go try to buy it and download it, it won't let me download it. You need to go buy it on a separate iPad, not an iPhone, because the iPhone won't let you buy iPad apps. So you need a separate iPad that is newer. Buy it on that separate iPad, come back to this iPad, and then download it from this here. Because what this will do is, let me see one that I've tried to download before that would definitely work, is it will download a compatible version that would have worked on this iPad at some point. So this needs iOS 13. Let's go a bit lower than here. FR Legends, maybe? So it says there, sir. So this is what you get. And this is only possible via the purchase section. So that's the only way you can possibly download this stuff. So I can hit download and it'll start to download. And that's the start of a story though, because you can run into other stuff because these apps are downloading such old versions. Some of these endpoints don't exist anymore. So apps will be broken. Some of these apps, they couldn't segment off the iPad 2, so they won't work. So like Final Fantasy 9 will crash. It won't run. Among Us will crash. It will not run because there's just not enough RAM in this iPad 2. There's still a plethora of other 2D games you can have and download here, and that gives you a really good experience. So I'm going to wait for this to load up. Go into my world, and then I get a very smooth experience. So really, really cool. It's just, how do you get this app when you can't download it from the App Store unless you've already downloaded it before? It's a very poor situation for that. So that's why I said it's great for reading free books. Now, let me talk about jailbreaking, because this is probably like your next thing. Well, I can probably jailbreak and download all these apps. This is the iPad revision 4, so iPad 2.4, and iOS 9.3.5 and 0.6 is what this will most likely have. So this is littered all over eBay right now for those $20. You can't jailbreak this untethered, which means that you need to have this on a computer. And the only thing that can jailbreak this right now in the current year of 2024 is a Linux machine or a Mac OS machine. Windows cannot work with this. Then you need an Apple developer account. It can be free. You don't have to pay for it. But that means that every time that you'll need to access the jailbreaking app, it will expire every 7 days. So every week, then you need to come back on here. And then when you do jailbreak it on this version of iOS, it is not a permanent one. So when the device reboots, maybe you let the battery die, it needs to be re-jailbroken. So you can imagine the pain and effort you have to do to keep renewing that jailbreaking app. So you need an Apple developer account, a Linux or Linux or Mac OS machine. Then you need to be able to plug this into this machine, and then you need to download a jailbreaking app. It will author through your developer account, and then you will go ahead and sideload it on here, which then expires after that 7 days. But it will jailbreak this device. Pretty straightforward on that. And it'll give you the option for the Cydia App Store. Cydia App Store, you'll be like, oh, and then that's like the App Store. I can download all these free apps. Cydia is not that. Cydia is anything but that. Cydia is just here to really customize the iPad UI experience. You can do things like you can retheme all these icons. When you swipe left and right, you can do these different animations with icons. You can add extra little features for the bottom here. That's what Cydia is going to be for. It's not going to give you a new browser. It's not going to give you any great tools to really download. There was a purchase section for Cydia for some good apps, but you can no longer buy them because they had to remove that purchase thing, I think because Apple forced them to get rid of the purchase feature. And it's only there to help you facilitate to actually downgrade to iOS 8. If you want to downgrade to iOS 8, you get a much better user experience. Things a hell of a lot snappier, but you cannot log into your existing Google account on iOS 8 after you've jailbroken and do all this other stuff. iOS 8 does not support two-factor authentication, so you can't put in like the 6-digit PIN on your Apple account, which sucks. So you'll most likely need to create a new Apple account on the iPad 2 on iOS 8, giving you, like, not letting you no longer access your purchase items from iOS. So you kind of get where I'm going with this. You can get a faster UI experience on iOS 8, but you're getting overall worse experience because you can't then log into your existing Apple account. So that's the iPad in 2024, iPad 2 in 2024. My recommendation is $20 for free books. That's fine. But honestly, you might as well spend $20 more, get an iPad Air 2 that gets you iOS 15, which is only like 2 years old at this point, or 3 years old at this point, and gives you access to a huge library of apps that you can still at least download. That iOS 15 supports split screen. It doesn't support Apple Pencil or anything else like the iPad 2 doesn't. But it's still just it's a higher resolution, and it's just a way better, faster iPad, and just for a little bit more. If not, get a Kindle Fire 7 or anything else, any Android thing, because unlike Android, Apple doesn't provide browser updates beyond its operating system. And Android does a pretty good job where they'll still provide Chrome even out of the last version at that to support it. So like Android 4.4 was a really old version, but it's still got newer versions of Google Chrome, allowing you to still use that for at least a browser experience. This is just not it. And unfortunately, because Opera Mini is no longer in the App Store and it's only accessible through purchase section, and you would have to have previously purchased it, getting access to your Google stuff is a no-go. You can, just a little quick thing, you can log in with Facebook. So any apps that say, create an account, they may not work, but you may be able to create an account through Facebook, and you can log into your Facebook. Facebook still supports this browser through their older app system thing. Yeah, it's not great, but it's still usable. And I think, if you wanted to get something a little fancy that you can literally just break because it's the cost of, almost like a Big Mac burger from Burger King or McDonald's because they're raising their prices so much, then it's possible. But yeah, if you have any questions about maybe things that you may be getting stuck on, you want some tips or something, leave them down in the comments below. I'll try to answer what I can. But yeah, that's it. That's the state of the iPad 2 in 2024.